What is up, guys? It is Bucky and welcome to your 18th intermediate Java tutorial. And in this tutorial, as promised, we're going to be learning how to create our first generic method. Now, as you can see if you're watching the last tutorial, I went ahead and got rid of all those overloaded methods because well, that's the point of this tutorial, to get rid of all of the overloaded methods. So that's what we did. And as a reminder, if you have a bunch of overloaded methods that are identical, not only in this example but any code you're doing, this is what you can do: make a generic method to pretty much compact all of your code and replace it with one method that does it all. So let's go ahead and learn how to do that. Let's go ahead and add a little comment, be generic method, and alright, we're good to go. So let's go ahead and make sure you're outside of your main, of course. Put public static, and the first thing that we need to do is put something called a type parameter. Now what you need to do is put it in angle brackets and just go ahead and put T, because that's just a common convention. And now, instead of like integer data or character data, it's going to view this data as a generic form of data called T. And you don't have to put T, but it's just by a convention. That's what people always do, like kind of like camel casing. This is just what is the most common thing in the programming world. So let's go ahead and put that. And of course put your return type void. Oh, and that's another thing, make sure you always have it before your return type. If you don't have this, then it's going to first of all cause a syntax error, and your compiler won't understand later on when it's looking at this generic code what the heck it is. So that's why you need it right there. So put void, and of course name it print me. And what this print me is going to do is, first of all, it's going to take a parameter which is a T array, and it's going to treat it as X. So right now, don't forget to have your type parameter and also the generic array called T that you're going to pass it in. And now from here, let's just go ahead and make the code the exact same as before. So let's go ahead and make an enhanced for loop. And before we had two different things like integer right here or a character. Well, now that we have that type parameter T, which is pretty much means generic data, we can go ahead and put T here. So any array, any type of array, it's going to be able to use it. So let's just go ahead and make a variable called B, because my name is Bucky, and go ahead and X, because X is the array that we passed in. And from here we can go ahead and put system out printf. And as our two arguments for our printf, let's go ahead and put S %s space, and also that B that we used in our enhanced for loop. Now from here, let's just go ahead and print out a blank line as always. Print line right there, and let's first of all make sure it runs alright. And as you can see, instead of having to build a whole bunch of different overloaded methods, we can just pass it this one generic method and pass any type of data we want into it, and it works just fine. So here we passed it an integer array, and here we passed it a character array, and as you can see, instead of having a specific type of data, we just put a generic letter, which was T. So here's how it works. These statements right here, print me with an integer array, at first, whenever you call this method, it first attempts to locate the method that takes an integer array as a parameter. If it says, alright, I cannot find a method that takes an integer array as my parameter, so I guess after now I'm gonna look for a method that takes generic data as its parameter. So it says, alright, first I want to find the method that's most specific to me. If I can't find that, then I'm gonna take a method that just accepts everything, and if I can't find that, of course you get an error. So if you have an overload method and then a generic method, it's going to call the overloaded method specific to the type of data first, and generic method is of course just what I showed you. So that's the point of a generic method, and that's the power of it, pretty much being able to take any type of data and doing the same thing no matter what the type of data is. And as you can see, instead of like 18 different types of data, it's just one condensed method. So that's all for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to be going over probably some more generic methods and eventually generic classes. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.